three cameras up, three cameras running. Probably put the body camera on in a little while. It's horrible. Just trying to keep dry. Probably end up putting the camera on charge. Battery's on low already. I didn't charge it. Last time I've used it. Put it on charge as well. I'm just starting the video up. It's going to go live. Drop the like if you can. Welcome back to Cover 2. Hope all the volumes are okay. I will be testing them later, if not, I will have
Dan, I think Jamie's here.
a talk over one or two of them. So, as I said, we are out and about. We are waiting for the start time. Running at the moment. I've got all my in against me. And I've got one more camera here. Yeah. I will be using one of them at a time. That will do. I will be running my body cam constantly throughout. Welcome back to Cop Watcher 2 again. About to start by the looks of it. There we go. We are about to start. What are you doing for dinner tonight on your way home? What? There's a lovely nice little place on the way home. Well, yeah. It's just outside of Nashville.
Right there. Right. First of all, thank you very much everyone for turning up, because as you can see the weather's not fantastic, but there's two things you can guarantee in Wales, is you're going to get crap weather and you're going to take ages to get here because everything's 20 miles per hour. So thanks for making the effort to come out today, really, really appreciate it. Obviously we don't do this sort of thing much, we really don't. But I think it's important because Wales is kind of left to its own devices. There's no pushback, there's no questioning of anything that seems to be happening in Wales. So today is about celebration of what makes our culture great, what we love about Britain, what we love about Wales. I want to start off first of all by saying thank you to South Wales Police, because we've been in touch with them throughout the organising and arranging of this event, and they've been nothing but supportive. So, I want to say a massive thank you to them, and also the assurances that they've given us that they're going to keep that lot, who's over in Castle Gardens now, there's a handful of them there, they're going to keep them away from this event to make sure there's no disruption, no distraction, and they're not going to be able to cause any problems. The only thing I'll say, I said it on the video earlier on, is if they do come over, which is hopefully unlikely, but if they do come over, ignore them. Don't engage with them, don't speak to them, don't approach them, don't give them the oxygen that they deserve or the attention that they deserve, because they don't deserve any of it. All they're going to do is disrupt this event and stop us from having a nice, successful day. So, we've got a number of speakers lined up. Is it because I'm standing? Where is it? We've got a number of speakers lined up, so I'll go through the speaker list for you really quickly. So, following me today is going to be Lee West, Royal Marine. Then we've got, where are they? Where's the ladies? There they are. there we are. So the ladies up there are going to be speaking as well, hopefully. I know they said maybe, but I'll hopefully twist their arm a little bit. And then we've got, followed by there, we've got myself and Jamie Michael. Jamie's there. Jamie, you'll know, we'll go through his story in a little bit more detail later. But Jamie is the Royal Marine who was recently politically arrested on order of Buffy Williams, Senedd member, and spent a lot of time unnecessarily and unjustifiably in custody and then on remand. So we won't go over that in a little bit more detail as well. Followed then by Jamie, we'll have Bish. Where's Bish? Can't really miss him. He's hiding his way. And then I believe, oh, Bish gets a clap. Well done, Bish.
That's because I'm famous.
Yes. And he's got a fantastic voice, so hopefully he'll give us a nice song as well. So,
At the end, it's the quickest way to empty the place.
there we are. Followed by Bish, then we have Ross Don. Some of you have seen Ross. Ross has played to stadium or to crowds and audiences bigger than Wembley Stadium. So we're pleased to have Ross Don here today to play a few songs for us and maybe say a few words. Followed by Ross, then we have Vicky. Vicky works for Urban Scoop. She's got her own story that I'll let her tell, and she's going to go into that as well. Then Shoaib is going to be speaking. Obviously, give yourselves 45 minutes to an hour for Shoaib. Where is he? So he's going to take up a bit of time then. And then closing the show is going to be Stan Robinson. Everyone's missed Stan, hasn't he? Got a bigger cheer than Bish. Got some competition there, Bish. So yeah, today, like I said, it is about celebrating what makes our country great, what made our country great, and our concerns of where the country may be going, and the things that make Britain great potentially being taken away and eroded. So what we're going to do is celebrate the things that make Britain great today. So first person speaking, Lee West. If you want to come up and say a few words, everyone can leave up.
Cheers, Dan. Just echo what Dan said there to everyone. Thanks for coming out. Delighted to be here. Like I said, the weather, humping it down. But that's what makes us great. And in theme of the today, best of British, best of Welsh. It won't be fit unless it was raining and cold. And thanks to Dan and Steph and the Voice of Wales guys for setting up today. And again, thanks to you guys. As a bit of an introduction myself, I'm Westy. I was born in Swansea, grew up in Townhill, joined the Royal Marines, spent 17 years in Royal Marines, so got to see a lot of the world, meet a lot of different people, a lot of different cultures, but always had my home in Swansea, would always come back home whenever I had leave. Left the Marines, I founded a charity called Salute, based in Swansea, spelled S-A-1-U-T-E, so play on letters, because based in Swansea. And I used to own Copper Bar up on Castle Street as well. And going into Copper Bar and Dan and the guys, I'd like to tell a little story about how I met Dan and Stan and got to know them a few years back, which also ties into the theme of today and how great it is. And a little story which ties into the really great things about us, and also a little bit about the poisonous side that's crept into the country. And I think you know the type of people I'm talking about, which will come out. So a few years ago, Dan and Stan had popped into Copper and hadn't long taken control of everything. We just reopened after COVID. And they popped in a couple of times and had a pint, but nothing more than that. Introduced themselves. I didn't know anything about Voice of Wales or anything like that they'd done. Stan told me about his alleged military career, if you can call it that. So we'd made pleasantries and sort of first name terms. And it was Saturday afternoon. There'd been a protest in town, rally, whatever you want to call it, from the far left. And Dan and Stan had of course been out, keeping them on their toes, reminding them they were there. And afterwards they retired to Copper to have a pint. And they were sat out on the deck in having a pint. And that is the key thing about this story, was they were just sat out on the deck in having a quiet pint. They weren't there like the rally had been, waving placards and chanting and causing grief. I was at the bar and three middle to upper age ladies came in, and I don't need to describe what they looked like. You've probably got that vision in your head already. They've come from the far left rally. And they'd sauntered in, not customers. Another key thing to remember about this story is they weren't patrons of the bar supporting me, where they would have a right to come and do what they did. They just wandered in, walked up to the bar and asked one of the girls if she was a manager. She quickly saw what was going on, went, pointed in my direction, and over they came. And they walked up, bold as brass, brazen, and said to me, "Do you know you've got 2 members of Voice of Wales sat on your decking?" And they just looked at me, expecting me to act like aghast. "Oh my God, get them out of here, what's going on, what's happened, who's taken over?" And at this point, and I'm really glad at this point, I didn't know anything of Dan and Stan and the Voice of Wales, the things they do, because it was a good test of myself, of how I can look back and react to this now without any bias of maybe being their friends, and therefore I'm going to act defensively and stick up for them. I didn't really know them that well, and I'm glad that happened, because it was a test on my reaction to this without any form of bias. And I just looked at them and said, "Yeah, and they were shocked by this. They were expecting me to act shocked and then kick them out. I said, "Yeah, and?" They said, "Well, they just sat there having a pint." I went, "Yeah, what's the problem?" "Well, they're the Voice of Wales." I said, "I'm really not seeing what the problem is here, ladies." "Well, they're out there." And because they weren't getting the reaction they wanted from me, they decided to embellish. Embellish is the correct term. One of them reached forward and said, "Do you know Donald Trump?" Right. Not personally, but yeah, I know who you're talking about. "They're like him." Okay, well, he's a democratically elected leader of the USA, so can't really see a problem with that. That wasn't enough, so they decided to embellish even more. "Do you know the Ku Klux Klan?" Again, not personally, but yes, I'm aware of them. "They're worse than them." Honestly, that's what they said to me. "They are worse than the Ku Klux Klan." And I said, "Well, I don't really know what you want me to do, ladies. Are they causing any problems?" "No." "Are the police involved?" "No." "Then what's the issue?" The issue was, they decided, because they didn't like these people, they could walk into a business and tell them what to do. And I'm glad looking back at it that they didn't tell me what to do, and they turned on and left with the tail beneath their legs. And I went over to speak to Dan and Stan, who recognised them, and they said, "Did they just try and get us kicked out?" And I said, "Yeah." They said, "Oh, they were trying to do it before." And because as the ladies walked in, they winked at the boys as if to say, "We're going to get you kicked out." And then obviously on the way back out, the boys winked at them because they didn't get them kicked out. But I just thought it was a really good example to show the positive side of our tolerance, and that I wasn't going to be bullied into kicking people out of my bar who weren't causing any issues. And because these people didn't like them, they had the ego. Imagine the little ego they must have had to think, "We're going to walk in here, tell him we don't like these people, we're not even customers of this bar, we're getting kicked out." So thought I'd like to share that little story with you about the boys. And leading on from that, what else makes us great here? Well, lots of things. I think, as I've touched on there, is our welcoming social nature. We are very welcoming, very tolerant, despite what some people will say. They're trying to say the opposite. I think that comes from not just being tolerant at home, where we do welcome people from everywhere to come and talk to us and debate and talk about issues, but also our expeditionary nature. How we are able to go into the world and assimilate. We travel the world, and go back to the days of empire, when the Navy ruled the seas, which a lot of people look down on badly, but I don't. You look back at those days where we did go around the world, and we brought the best of British with us. We went to different countries, brought our infrastructure, brought our modern ways of thinking, our politics. And that continues to today as well, where we go abroad and we are interested in talking to other people and learning about other cultures. And from cultures who aren't the same with us, you see the difference between us, and a lot of, or what makes us great, is a lot of countries are very inward looking, and they don't have the ability to go and learn about other countries. And you could even say that about the USA. You go to the USA, a lot of people never left that country, they're not interested in the rest of the world. But we're very different in the UK, and I think that's what makes us great as well, is we do take active interest in things at home, but also abroad, and then that helps us shape our outlook. I was in Royal Marines for 17 years, so I got to go and see a lot of the world. And another thing that makes us great is that hardship. Of course, I'm going to say that our armed forces are the best in the world, because they are, and that's what makes us great. But also, that isn't just exclusive to me and other people in the armed forces. And I'm saying, our armed forces are the best, and therefore it's only the people in the armed forces. The armed forces come from the people. The reason our armed forces are the best is because we are the best as a culture. And I got asked a question on a podcast, a James English podcast, last year. Why do you think the British forces are the best? And I think they were expecting me to give the usual answer, which a lot of ex-forces guys give, is our sense of humour, which is right, our training, which is also right. But I didn't give that answer. And I said, well, I think it's because of our hardy nature and our history. Because we come from a country, we're on an island in the North Atlantic, it's freezing cold and dark for months and months of the year, raining, and we become very productive because of that. We're very hardy people. Today is the perfect example of that. We'll come out in weather, right? We'll graft. And it's a reflection of our armed forces are the best because we come from that line of people who've been invaded by everyone, right? We've fought them off. Turmoil with it, civil wars in the country. The reason we've got to where we are and our armed forces are the best is because we've had that troublesome past. I think we should celebrate how we've come from that as a tiny little island and gone out and spread Britishness around the world. What else have I got in here? I'll have to have a quick check the phone here. Yeah. I got another story about our tolerance and our welcoming nature. It's to do with the bar as well, at the Copper. Last year I was on GB News, did an interview with Patrick Christie's about when I crossed the channel in the dinghy, and a lot of people outside of our circles saw that it was on GB News and had a lot of abuse and hate. They didn't even watch the interview, and that's the telling factor of it. They just saw he's on GB News, therefore he's racist, okay, he's far right, and all the other things they decide to throw without knowing about it. And I had people who on the left who did actually watch it, and they went, well, no, it was very reasonable and honest, unbiased interview. But from that interview, like I said, I got a lot of abuse, and of course I own a business in the city, and one thing we find about these certain people in these other groups is they're very nasty, okay, and they will go after people's personal lives because of their political ideals. So a lot of abuse, and I had an email, a guy called Gary Williams, I don't know if you come across him. I got the name, I had a quick search on Google, I found a Gary Williams who's in all the socialist, the usual sort of hate groups, as I call them, and I worked out it was probably him. He sent an email to the business opposite mine, probing about me, saying, look at this guy, he's cozying up to the goons, that's in the email, the goons from Voice of Wales, right, saying all these nasty negative things about me, and trying to get information about me and my business. And again, tying into the ego and the arrogance of those ladies that walked in, he just assumed that this business owner was going to agree with him and just give him all this information and jump on the bandwagon of hating me. He didn't. He sent the email to me just so I could have an awareness that this guy was saying these things. So what did I do? Did I get angry? Did I then draw battle lines against this guy, go after him, start to find information about him and contacting people to try and bring him down? No, I reached out to him. And I'll read the email that I sent to him, which again I think is a great example of how tolerant we are on our circles, as I'm going to call them. I said, hi Gary, Lee from Copper here. I'm contacting you to express my disappointment about conversations and messages you've been pushing about me. And I would respectfully like to inform you that I have if you have an issue with Copper Bar, myself, my output and my outlook, then to please direct them to me firstly. I am an extremely approachable, community-minded person who engages with a variety of people daily. I am a founder of a charity, help various homeless charities, and even a BANE project this summer to teach their ladies to ride bikes. My background in the Royal Marines has given me a robust nature and upfront way of approaching everything. I'm sure your recent interest would have been piqued by my appearance on GB News and Voice of Wales. Unfortunately, many in the community will see this and brand me as they wish, without listening to the substance of me and my life. But you see, I don't shut down the opportunity to talk to anyone because they may not fully align with me. Mostly because I don't align with traditional battle lines when it comes to politics and social issues. Once again, I'd like to express my disappointment and remind you about how unprofessional this looks. Also, if you wish to engage with me, then please do so directly. Very reasonable response, I thought, from me. No response from Gary. What a shock. And that is because old Gary would have read that and he wouldn't have got angry. He'd have read that and been disappointed because I wasn't the enemy he wanted and needed. And that's the problem we're facing, guys, is I'm loving the wave of our groups at the minute. I went to the Tommy protest in London and was absolutely astonished by how positive, friendly, right, polite and welcoming it was. And because unfortunately you do get tidbits of the media and they portray these events as violent, aggressive, everyone looking for trouble. It's the complete opposite. And I love how we're turning the tide in that view now. And old Gary here, he doesn't like that because he needs an enemy. He needs me to be that devil that he's going to people and slagging off and trying to get information on. Because without that enemy, they don't have their little events and their little drives that they have. And I think that's the key message of how we're turning the tide now. It's great to see that today's events are just about happiness and friendliness. And up the road, they'll be chanting, right? There'll be a lot of hate. We saw it in London at the Tommy, the counter-protest. It was all about anger and hate and against someone. Well, we're not against anyone here today. We're all for each other and we're all spreading a positive message. And it's the complete opposite, and they're hoodwinked the middle ground into thinking that they are the peaceful and tolerant side. And they aren't at all. I think Gary was a perfect example of that, and the fact it spoke volumes that he didn't reply to me. So I just wanted to show that example of how we are turning that tide and becoming now the good side of it. Books, I don't really want to sound you top plug-in stuff, but who am I to deny a request from the crowd? I've got 4 books, 3 of them are Tramp Face. I'll try and keep it short because they're books, so I can stand here and talk about them all day. Don't want to turn it into a book reading. The first 3 Tramp Face were every year we'd go and live homeless on the streets. First one we did in Swansea. We just went and did it completely undercover, if you like. We went and begged every day. We went and slept rough every day. We went and interacted with homeless services without telling people that we were pretending, because we wanted to get the full-on immersive experience of what it's like to live on the streets and beg every day and sleep rough. So we did that in Swansea for the first year, for 7 days. Second year we went and lived in the migrant camp in Calais. Again, we weren't sent by anyone or on behalf of anyone. We just went off our own backs, decided to just go there and live and see what it was like living in the camps in Calais. I'm not going to talk in depth about that. You'll have to buy the book, won't you? Third one, we hitchhiked around the UK under the same conditions, living homeless. Fourth one, we cycled Swansea to London over 7 days while living homeless, and then ran a marathon on the last day. And then the 5th one was the one that hit the news last year, where we went back to Calais because we failed in our mission the first year to get across the channel. We were trying to get on the back of the trucks. A lot harder than you'd think, to be honest with you. Hence why they're not doing it in dinghies. If I had another option. So on that 5th one, we were like, well, we failed the first time. They're coming across in the boats. How hard or easy is it? So we went and lived in the camps on the outskirts of Paris, which we found was a staging post. A lot of the guys we spoke to, because we'd go into the camps and just talk to them. We had cover stories, which different ones we'd roll out at different times depending on the situation, just so we could try and talk to them rather than turn up with a microphone and go, why are you here? And I'm like, ain't telling you. And that one in Paris seemed to be a staging post where they're coming up through Europe, using that as a little take stock, get contacts further north, and then move on. And then we got back to Calais, saw how much it had changed in the couple of years since we've been there. We've got a friend to drive over with a deflated dinghy. So he could have been stopped at any point. So again, this was exposing a lot of holes in the defences. And it was the most, for an experienced military man, it was the most unprepared event I'd ever done in my life. Because a lot of people ask me, so you're in the Royal Marines, so it must be pretty easy setting this up and planning it. I was like, well, there was no planning. We found our launch point from Google Maps, just got the phone out the night before. Found a slipway into the English Channel, we're going from there. Our friend met us in his van, midnight. At this point, we'd only ever seen from Google Maps. Pumped up the dinghy in the darkness and set off across the channel. And we made it, 4.5 hours it took us, undetected, and hit the beach on the opposite side. The story does go on, we eventually got arrested by the National Crime Agency an hour later. However, they're the ones down the road who landed go. They captured the actual British citizens. Yeah, good effort. So that's the book. And then my fourth book is my autobiography, so that's about my time in the Royal Marines and my life travelling the world as well. I feel like I've rambled on quite a bit there. Everyone still seems to be still awake. Not too long. Can we wrap it up?
Yeah. You carry on, mate. Carry on.
Yeah, quick check the notes.
Couple of minutes. 2 more
Yeah. And brilliant event here today, isn't it? It said some of the sides would call us the intolerant people. I don't know what's the name for us. I know we can't really go down the way name of right wing. What was it? Yeah. Yes, the fresh wave of politics. But look at this today, it's great. You got Shoaib from, where is he? He's over there. From Pakistan / Saudi Arabia. We got Vicky from Germany. We've got Turks from Clerkley. What else we got? We got the Valleys boys. Well, English and went north of Morrison's, England, isn't it? You know anyone else from anywhere afar? England, yeah, definitely foreigners. It's great to see all the different personalities down here today. And where are we going in politics? I don't want to get too political today, but I think that is going on with the best of the British, our politics, I think. I know we're in a pretty dire state at the minute with who's in charge. We look at our politics compared to the rest of the world, banana republics, third world countries, autocracies. Okay, we're in a pretty good place, and how that's showing now is by the wave of reform. How we're able to potentially break that two-party system now. Whereas the USA are miles away from ever being able to do that. A lot of countries can't even break the one-party system. So I think we have really got to be positive that despite the state of the government at the minute, our politics are in a good place because people have noticed it's in such a state. The Tories just weren't conservative at all, and Labour are an absolute disaster. And what's that done? Well, we need an alternative. We need a third option now. And I don't think Reform are ready to form a government in any way right now. But what the brilliant thing they're doing is, they're going to make the other two take notice. Because they're going to win seats. I think they won the councillor's seat already. This week it's going to happen, that massive wave. And that can only be a good thing, whether they do get in a position to form a government, whether it's an alliance or not. The beauty of that is, that means our politics is in a really good position. That the people are now going, we've had enough, we really have had enough. And if you're not going to listen, we're going to break this confident, comfortable two-party system that you think you're untouchable in. So I think that's another great positive to end on. Our politics is really in a good position, and it's thanks to us and events like today that's going to keep it going in the right direction. So thanks for listening to me waffle on, and I look forward to listening to the rest of the guys. Cheers.
So thank you very much, Lee. Lee criticised Shoaib for being able to talk a very long time. I think Lee's just taken that title from you, so you got to put it up for the Lee. So what I'm going to ask you is how many people here know what a TERF is? TERF? Yes? So TERF stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist. It's hard to say, I can't even say it properly. So what a TERF is basically people who agree that women should have women's spaces, men should have men's spaces, and people are identifying as this and that, whatever. You know, maybe we should start to question it. So our next speaker is going to give you a little talk about what she does, and it's Tessa the TERF. We'll give Tessa a round of applause.
You nicked my intro. I was going to explain what a TERF was. Yeah, I'm not really a radical feminist, but I am a biological realist, which is the big deal. I certainly, in the words of Kenny J. Keane, I would say that no woman has a penis, no man has a vagina, and transitioning children is profound abuse. It's actually free speech. I'm a member of the Free Speech Union wearing their badge. I have been since last summer because I've been, since becoming a TERF, which was about November 20, I've become aware that to say things like what I have just said is actually a problem. And in fact, police have visited women for speaking out, just saying those simple words, just backing up the fact that sex is binary, you're either male or you're female. So with my care about free speech and finding that I was booted off X immediately twice when I joined. No longer, of course. Now Elon has taken over, I can say what I damn well like. And that is such a big deal. And as a result of that, and also, I should also point out, my background was definitely left. I was a Jeremy Corbyn fan, I'm telling you. I tried to join the party to vote for Jeremy Corbyn. I did get on to vote for Keir Starmer. And yeah, that's how left I was. But since becoming a TERF, which has been such a really good big deal for me, because it makes you question everything. I've been immersed in left is good, right is bad for probably 50 years. I'm cracking on a bit, even though I'm supposed to be a bit of a threat and make people feel unsafe. I'm just got my bus pass recently. And in fact, I came into Swansea on my bus pass. But yeah, so 50 odd years of being immersed in the left, this completely shook my beliefs. And once that happens, you then start to kind of question so much more. And there are lots of women in my position as well, a lot of women who are now, I mean now I'm, like I said, I was pretty hard left, but now I'm described as TERF, obviously, which is meant to be a term of abuse, Nazi, bigot, transphobe, I like that one. Although actually, to call it a phobia is not exactly true, because a phobia is an irrational fear, whereas the fear of predatory men invading women's what were previously safe spaces is not irrational, it's a very real threat. I don't know if any of you here are aware of what's going on in Fife, the NHS in Fife at the moment. Probably nothing, because the mainstream media, all captured, the BBC will refer to blokes all the time as being women. You'll see died. No. Is it working? Yeah. One of the stats I was aware of a few years ago before I became a TERF. Any questions of me? A woman is an adult human female, or as I also say, Homo sapiens, mature, and the producer of large gametes. Thank you.
Right. How fantastic was that? And do you know what? She didn't even know she was speaking today. So give Tessa the TERF another round of applause while I turn it over to the phone. So I'm just going to load something up now really quickly. The internet, I don't know if anybody else has noticed, the signal hasn't been great down here. I want to load up a link so I can give you the total amount. So bear with me for 2 seconds. Scroll. Where is it, Jamie? The fundraiser. So.
Jamie's the senior Royal Marine.
Right, so I'll talk as I scroll. But you have to bear with me because I might get muddled up. But some of you may have seen our next speaker. So we've got Jamie Michael here. So if you don't know who Jamie Michael is, So I'm guessing you all know who Jamie Michael is, so that's fantastic. So, Jamie, just to give anybody that don't know, anybody watching along live there, Jamie posted a video back in July, and it was following the terrorist attack that happened in Southport. The video itself, 12 minutes long, was, I would say, from everything else that I saw going around that time, a very well balanced, polite, and let's just say politically correct way of approaching the situation. It's got organising properly. However, Senate member Buffy Williams of Welsh Labour had other ideas, and what she did is she instructed a communications officer to approach the police to then have Jamie arrested. The police turned up at Jamie's place of work, or went to his house first of all, and then they came to Jamie's place of work. They said to Jamie, "There's nothing to worry about," just before slapping handcuffs on him. Told him he'd go into custody, told him, "Oh, it won't be long." Then they held him in custody from the Friday until the Monday morning, where he was taken into court, and he went straight from court then to prison, where he was held on remand for 3 weeks. That was going to be up until February, okay? So in that time Jamie was on remand. Jamie missed his daughter's birthday, which, as anyone can imagine, anyone who's got children, is heartbreaking for the parent, but more importantly, heartbreaking for the child. Jamie was successful and his second bail application was released, and then he got to spend the dying moments of his partner's birthday with her, because he was released late. There's a bit of a mess around mix up there as well. Then recently Jamie was in court. It's listed for a 3-day trial. It only lasted 2.5, because what happened is once all the evidence was presented, the jury retired to reach a verdict, and within 17 minutes they came back with a unanimous verdict of not guilty.
Yay.
Now, what? So they should. You don't need a mic cast, do you? So what happened then? Obviously, we wanted to, because that time lost, okay, you can never get that time back, okay, the thoughts and the things that were going out, you know, where Jamie's daughter, you know, upset, only wanted her daddy on her birthday, you know, them type of things you cannot get back. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to try and do something to try and make up for that lost time, so we started a little bit of a fundraiser, okay? Now, I'm pleased to say we started this a week ago, 1 week. And we're running it up until today, and today's the cut-off, and now's the cut-off point. And I'm very pleased to say that all you people who are watching live and anybody here that's contributed have raised £8,632. Well, that is absolutely amazing. It's an absolute testament to everybody and the mood of the nation, because people don't like seeing this sort of injustice, especially when it's an injustice to one of our Royal Marines. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hand you over to Jamie, who's going to say a few words of thanks and appreciation, and then we move on. So Jamie, thank you.
Thanks, Dan. I just want to start by saying massive gratitude for people like yourselves today. My whole community back in the Rhondda really stuck by me all the way through. They were unreal, to be honest with you. The last 7 months have been quite tough, and I've been through some stressful situations in my life, being a Royal Marine myself. I've also done some security jobs in some dangerous places, but this was definitely up there with the most stressful situations I've been through, especially as this involved my family. I'm trying to look for my girlfriend. I think she's going around the back. But my message is of gratitude, really. I just want to, thanks to yourselves. Really thanks to my missus, because when I was in prison and trying to sort out all my business stuff and everything else, that was an absolute nightmare. She wasn't in a very good position herself, because we take care of my little girl, and we haven't got much help because my parents live in Spain and her parents live quite far away as well. So she was having to do all that on her own. So big respect to my missus for going through all that with me. It was a tough time. So I just really want to thank my missus. Then going on to thank people like Dan for asking me to come here and speak today. Dan covered my story from the start. When the mainstream media were here's all the lovely left. Thank people like Dan, because the mainstream media would really painted a bad picture of myself, and Dan really got the the true story of people like himself. people like Tommy Robinson who are, sitting in prison right now, pretty much being tortured, denied visits, denied phone calls. That's just ridiculous. We really need to try and get some support behind Tommy, to try and get some MPs to start talking about it, because that man is a hero in my eyes. He's done more for young girls in this country than any MP or anyone. So he's a true hero. And the biased left-wing media are constantly telling lies about him, and people need to just go out there and watch his documentaries to see the truth. What sort of facts show
Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Refugees are welcome here. Refugees are welcome here. We only got one planet, mate. No to fascism. No to racism. 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 No to fascism. No to fascism. No to racism. 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 No to fascism. No to racism. No to racism. No to fascism. 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 No to racism.
10 seconds, turn your back on and walk away.